So I've wanted to make this video for a few months now. I recently picked up the Fuji GFX 50R, which is one of Fuji's medium format digital cameras. As someone who shoots a lot of both digital and film photography, I've been looking at the Fujifilm's line of digital cameras for a while. Recently, I've been getting kind of tired of the Sony digital camera sort of colors and looks. I've been shooting a lot on the Sony a7 III for stills, and before that I was using the Canon 60, which I was a very big fan of. I got the a7 III after the Canon 60 just because I wanted something that worked better in low light situations. But I don't know, something about this system is just not my favorite in terms of real true life colors. And especially someone who shoots a lot of film photography, that's why I've always been interested in Fujifilm's digital camera systems. So I purchased this Fujifilm GFX 50R, which is a medium format digital camera about, I don't know, like 4 or 5 months ago. And I got the body first for around $2,000 USD. And on top of that, I got this 35 to 70 lens. I also have a 62 Mitacon. Hold on, let me grab it. Here it is. The other lens that I have for this system is the 65mm f1.4 Mitacon lens, and I got this lens because I saw a lot of examples at the 1.4 aperture on the medium format system, which there's something about that depth of field that really attracted me. It looked like the Pentax 6.7. This isn't realistically an everyday shooting lens just because it's so heavy, which is why I got the 35 to 70. So the real question that I'm trying to answer is, can this digital photography kit replace my film photography kit, which is namely the Contax G2 with either the 45 or the 28mm lens? So in order to answer that question, I took this camera out and I've been shooting with it for a few months now, and I just wanted to review some of the photos that I've been shooting on this, and after color grading it in Lightroom and using a variety of presets, does it come close to the look of film? So here are two photographs shot side by side from basically the same position on film and then digitally on the Fujifilm GFX 50R with the 35 to 70 variable zoom lens. Can you tell which one was shot on which? Now I adjusted the digital one and added a bit of bloom and grain to kind of mimic the look of film, but I'm surprised to note that this is pretty damn close. I've been shooting primarily on the standard profile, which is, I think it's Provia, and it's the basic, just like film emulation profile. It just gives it a little bit of saturation and doesn't really do much. I prefer that because when I put the raw photos into Lightroom, then it gives me a lot of leniency and doesn't have anything baked into the actual photos, so I can edit them. Now there are a lot of videos that go in depth on the specs of this camera. I'm not going to cover all that in this video. This video is primarily more about the form function of this camera and also the practicality, whether or not you or I need this camera. Now, the biggest reason why I wanted to get into Fujifilm's GFX series is obviously the medium format sensor, and that comes with an incredible depth of field if you use apertures like 1.4 lenses, or primarily the file size of the raw photos are incredible. So the sensor is above 50 megapixels. Each file raw size is like over 100 megabytes, which might be overkill, but if you're treating this camera like a film camera and you're selective with your shots, then the file size doesn't become too ridiculous and you don't have to shoot hundreds and hundreds of photos in order to get great selects and not have the file kind of storage be too burdensome. Typically, as I've shot this camera, I've found that if you expose mainly for the highlights, then it gives you a lot of leniency to bring up the shadows in the edit. I oftentimes use this exposure compensation on the top dial here. This mainly helps when I'm on aperture compensation mode, where I can set the shutter speed to automatic on the top dial, focus on my aperture, and then if something's not quite right, I'll just adjust it with the compensation here. And then I'll help with getting photos properly exposed. terms of form factor, this camera setup, especially with this lens, is wonderful just because of its compactness. I can travel with this, carry it around, and almost treat it like a street photography camera. I've been pairing this camera a lot with the star-crossed filter, which I made a video about previously, and it's a great fun combination. I won't use it all the time, but especially for nighttime photography and also even daytime when there's like really high blown out highlights or reflections. Now I feel like with the file size and just the standard kind of like definition range and colors from this camera system, I think you can get pretty damn close to film. And realistically, if I was out shooting medium format film, I would only have, if I was shooting 6x7, I only get 10 shots per roll. And then if I was shooting 6.45, which I primarily shoot, then I'm only getting, I think like 16 shots or 15 shots per roll. Now this kit cost, the body I got for a great price is about $2,000 USD used. And I got the lens on sale for about $500. So total cost of this kit was about $2,500, which is an incredible steal for a medium format system. So the question comes down to, does or can this replace all of my film photography needs? And obviously the answer is no, but I think you can get pretty damn close to film on this system. And especially if you know what you're doing in Lightroom and properly like incorporating grain, I think you can get incredible colors with the GFX system. I think I typically use, I think film rolls are like 15 to 20 bucks, and then developing is also like 10 to 15 bucks per roll of medium format film. So you're thinking 15 shots, that's like 35, 40 bucks per shot. That's a crazy price per capture. Whereas if you invest in a system like this, or I think the other one that a lot of people are shooting with is like the X100V. I think it's like a 35mm digital. It's smaller than this camera, I believe, but this camera, the form factor looks beautiful. It's really, really fun to shoot with. Having this camera makes me want to go out and shoot, which is a very big, honestly, like factor when you're going out to shoot for leisure or just wanting to get more into photography and like practice. I honestly think that's a huge, huge factor. So overall, I think I'm going to continue shooting with the GFX system, especially the 50R that I have here. It's noticeably slower when you're trying to change your settings compared to the A7 series or the Canon 6D or 5D series. So for instance, in maybe like sports scenarios or high intensity like fashion shoots or something like that, maybe this isn't the perfect camera for those situations. For most of the situations, I think this camera really can shine, and it's something that I'll definitely keep in my kit. If you have any questions on this camera in particular or any of the editing techniques or photos that you see in this video, please leave a comment below. I'll try to get back to you. And as always, I really appreciate you staying to the very end. Please like, subscribe, all that jazz. And I'll see you guys in the next one.